When people saw NIO's flagship ET9 being driven around Stanford and Apple Park, the first question in the comments wasn't if it was fast or about the interior. It was, wait a minute, aren't Chinese vehicles banned in America? It's a fair question, and the honest answer is that it's more than a simple yes or no, because the real story here isn't a loophole. It's that NIO has quietly had a legal foothold in Silicon Valley for almost a decade, and most Americans don't even know it exists. Let's kill the myth first. There is no law that says Chinese EVs cannot be in the United States. What exists is much more narrow, and it specifically targets retail sales, not the vehicle's presence. What we have is a 100% 301 tariff on Chinese electric-made vehicles imposed in 2024. This makes importing one to sell to a U.S. customer commercially irrational. We also have a Commerce Department rule targeting connected vehicle tech. This was finalized in January of 2025. This bans the sale of connected vehicles containing Chinese or Russian-made vehicle connectivity system hardware/software or automated driving system software. The software restriction became enforceable in March of this year, 2026. The hardware restriction follows in 2029. Both of these are about selling a car to a consumer. Neither one says a manufacturer can't bring a small number of vehicles into the country for research, testing, or demonstration. That distinction is the entire story. Here's what surprised me researching this. NIO's North American headquarters has been sitting on North 1st Street in San Jose since 2015. Not a pop-up showroom, not a marketing stunt, an actual R&D office in the middle of Silicon Valley since NIO was practically a startup. In 2023, they didn't shrink that footprint, they expanded it. NIO signed a lease on a new 200,000 square foot facility on Zanker Road, more than double their previous space, explicitly built to support research, software development, testing, assembly, and operations. And this isn't just office space with a nice lobby. NIO's U.S. subsidiary holds an autonomous vehicle testing permit from the California DMV, and they've had vehicles, NIO ES8 among them, physically road testing on San Jose streets for years. So when you see an ET9 pass Apple Park, that's not some improbable exception. That's a company that has been operating a legitimate American R&D arm since before most people had even heard of NIO. So this is the part that actually answers the how in the title. Federal regulation, specifically 49 CFR 591.5 parentheses J parentheses 1 explicitly carves out exception to the standard vehicle import rules for cars brought in for research, investigations, studies, demonstrations, or training. That's a completely different legal lane than importing a car for someone to buy and drive to work every day. A vehicle brought in under that exemption doesn't need to meet the same compliance bar as a car NIO would sell to a U.S. consumer. It just needs to be here for a legitimate, non-retail purpose: R&D, evaluation, media demonstration, that kind of thing. So if you combine that with NIO already having a fully staffed, fully permitted San Jose facility built exactly for this purpose, and the ET9 in that DCD cars video stops looking like a mystery. It's almost certainly a demonstration unit tied to NIO's own North America R&D operation, doing exactly what that facility exists to do. Since I haven't reached out to DCD cars, I don't know specifically that car came from the NIO R&D facility, but it's a good chance that it did. Also, the car from the DCD cars videos has a lot of Chinese writing on it, and I don't know what it says. So if anybody in the comments, if you read Mandarin and you know what it says on there, chime in, let us know. That might help explain it a little bit more. Now, here's where I want to be optimistic, but grounded, okay? Nothing about this changes the fact that NIO can't put an ET9 in a US customer's driveway today. Two specific things would need to move. First, the tariff picture. Section 301 tariffs are a trade policy tool, and trade policy is negotiated. It shifted before, and it can certainly shift again, especially as a bargaining chip in broader US-China trade talks. Now, everybody knows Xi Jinping is coming here to the US in September. We'll see what happens. The other things that would need to change is compliance with the connected vehicle rule. This is the harder one. NIO would need a version of its software and connectivity hardware stack that doesn't have what the rule calls a sufficient nexus to China. That's not impossible. It's the same challenge Chinese automakers considering US adjacent manufacturing, like Mexico plants, are already thinking through, but it's a real engineering and a legal lift, not a formality. Now, neither of these is likely to resolve in months, but neither is permanent either. Tariff schedules get renegotiated, compliance pathways get built, and NIO, unlike a company starting from complete zero, already has the physical infrastructure, the local hiring, the DMV permits, and as we've seen, the goodwill from people actually encountering the car in person. That's not nothing. That's a company positioning itself to move fast the moment the door opens instead of starting the process from scratch. And here's a detail I think gets completely lost in the Chinese EV framing, and it's worth sitting with for a second. NIO's next generation vehicle operating system, SkyOS, isn't just some closed-built homegrown Chinese kernel. The core of it, SkyOS M and SkyOS H, runs on SEL4. SEL4 isn't Chinese at all. It's a formally verified microkernel developed in Australia by NICTA, the country's national ICT research center. It's the first operating system in the world to be mathematically proven bug-free at the source code level. And this is the part I love. It's so trusted that it's used by DARPA, okay? It's already trusted enough that DARPA has used it in high-assurance U.S. defense systems. NIO built part of its most important next-gen software on the same verified foundation the American defense establishment already relies on. And it's not just the OS kernel. NIO's Firefly, their compact EV already selling in Europe, ships with a voice assistant called Lumo. And Lumo runs on ChatGPT. That's OpenAI, an American company, integrated directly into a production NIO vehicle right now in cars already on the road in the Netherlands and Norway. And in fact, I saw a YouTuber's video where he bought his Firefly in Singapore, and it has ChatGPT. Check it out.
The vehicle supports 100 kilowatts DC fast charging, achieving a 10 to 80% charge in about 29 minutes, and includes features like a 13.2-inch touchscreen, 6-inch driver display, and a ChatGPT-powered voice assistant named Lumo.
Now I want to be careful here because I don't want to overstate what this proves, okay? The connected vehicle rule isn't just about where a piece of code originally came from. It's mainly about who is designing, integrating, and shipping the final product. And NIO itself, as a Chinese company, is likely the thing that triggers scrutiny regardless of which components it uses. So using an Australian kernel or an American AI assistant doesn't automatically clear the bar. But it does tell you something real. NIO's engineering culture isn't allergic to Western technology. They've already built and shipped products on an Australian verified kernel and an American LLM. If the day comes where US compliance requires restructuring how software is integrated, audited, or controlled, NIO wouldn't be starting purely from a closed China-only stack. They'd be adapting an approach they've already proven they're willing to take. I want to be straight about the limits of this optimism, my optimism, okay? A research demonstration exemption is not a sales pathway. NIO could keep demo cars in San Jose indefinitely without that ever translating into a dealership. The connected vehicle rule wasn't written with a 5-year sunset in mind. It's a national security regulation, and those don't move as fast as trade tariffs do, unfortunately. And also, the whole NIO has infrastructure ready to go is pretty much optimistic framing for what could just as easily stay an R&D facility outpost for like ever, the way it's functioned for the better part of a decade. And last but not least, the SEL4 and ChatGPT points show NIO isn't culturally closed off to Western tech. But that don't mean NIO already satisfies the connected vehicle rule. The rule looks at who designs and controls the final integrated systems. And NIO, being a PRC jurisdiction company, is likely the bigger factor than any individual components of, a country of origin. I'd rather you, and myself included, walk away from this video understanding exactly what's legally true today than walk away thinking NIO dealerships are around the corner, because they're not. But the groundwork being laid right now is real, and it matters for whenever the politics do shift. So the next time you see a Chinese EV doing something in the US that seems like it shouldn't be legal, check twice. A lot of the time, like here, it's not a loophole. It's a company that's been quietly building a legitimate American foothold for years, waiting for a policy to catch up to the product. I'm curious what you guys think. Does knowing that NIO has operated in Silicon Valley since 2015 change how you see their odds? Let me know in the comment. I think it does. If you want more of this, actual trade policy regulation broken down without the doom posting or the hype, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.